Hi guys, this is Stu from Mobile Geeks and we're back today with yet another review of a very interesting device. This is the Mi 4 or the Xiaomi 4 from a very exciting company in China called Xiaomi. If you don't know anything about Xiaomi, then go on our website. We've written tons of articles about this very unique and disruptive company from China. This is the logo right here, the Mi. This is the Mi 4 and it's the successor to another very popular phone. This is the Mi 3. This guy's been my go-to phone for the last couple of months, and actually it's my favorite phone at the moment. It's one of the best phones I've ever used, and I've been very impressed with it. It's pretty much flagship spec when it came out early this year, and it was sold for a very aggressive price. So the Mi 4 kind of follows in a similar vein. What we've got here are hardware specs that are available in China. The 16 gig version is just under 2,000 RMB, which is around 325 US dollars. The 64 gigabyte version will be closer to 400 US dollars. As I said, it's currently available in China for these prices. It might cost you a bit more if you want it shipped to Europe or the US. Okay, so let's get down to some hardware details. We're saying flagships. What do I mean by flagship? Well, it's actually a 5-inch IPS LCD screen. It's a 1080p screen. It looks fantastic, and actually it's one of the best screens we've come across in a long time. Inside you're getting Android KitKat 4.4, but it's running a very kind of heavily customized UI from Xiaomi. And that OS is powered by a Snapdragon Qualcomm 801, which of course is a beast of a processor. It's one of the strongest on the market. Well, the specifications include a 13 megapixel camera here on the rear and an 8 megapixel camera on the front. You're getting 3 gigabytes of RAM as well, which is also pretty impressive. Let's take a look at this display in some more detail then. It's actually made by a company called JDI, and as you can see, it's very bright. Let's just check. We've got our brightness turned up to the full. Yep, here we go. We're on full brightness. So as you can see, it is pretty bright. It's actually slightly brighter than the Mi 3 that preceded it, and it's right up there with some of the best AMOLED screens I've seen. I mean, just look at some of these viewing angles. If I just open up our gallery app here for a second. Oh, hello Nicole. Oh, we can switch back and take a look at some of our more stock photos that we tend to use. Oh, there's me. Come on, where are we? We're on screenshots. Local images. Oh, there's Sasha being very Sasha. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's zoom in on this display and see what we're getting here. You can see that the colors are very vibrant. I mean, look at these viewing angles. You're not missing much as you do that, right? This is some of the best that we've ever seen. And if we get into here, the color reproduction is fantastic. The blacks are really good. This is actually made by JDI, which means Japan Display Inc., one of the more interesting names for a company. And that's actually a conglomerate of some of the real greats. So you've got Sony, Toshiba, and Hitachi, who've all come together to develop some of these screens. This is the same screen that's used on the, well, not the exact same screen, but it's the same company that made the screen that we were very impressed with on the OnePlus One. That was a slightly larger 5.5 inch, but here in this 5-inch IPS, we have to say we've been very impressed. And you can actually change quite a lot about the way the screen reacts. If we just go into here, display, we can see that we can change not only the brightness, as we just saw a moment ago, but we can also change the color, temperature, and saturation. So I can change to warm or cool. I think that's quite a nice touch, and it kind of shows just how versatile the display is. So you have it. It's a very nice display. But of course, as well as the display, we've also got the rest of the device to look at. So as you can see, we'll just turn this off for a second. See, you got 3 hardware buttons here. These are kind of the standard Android configuration. It's something I like to see. You know, if we're going to have a bezel here, I'd rather have the 3 buttons than a couple of logos. I don't care if you've got the on-screen buttons. Why not have the hardware buttons too if there's a bezel? And as you can see over here on the right hand side, we've got our volume rocker, we've got a power button here. This is the same configuration as the Mi 3. So I'm kind of into that, you know. If you decided on your product that this is the way to go, then be consistent with the product that follows it. Talking to you, HTC. Okay, here we have a headphone jack on the right hand side. This is a sensor right here. You can see we've got our 8 megapixel camera right there on the top, Mi 3 logo, and you can see the whole thing. There's a coating on the display as well, which it's not Corning Gorilla Glass of any level. It's a different kind of finish. It's called, well, I think the company described it as laminated. but you know, it doesn't feel totally glass-like, but it also actually gives it's a very good touchscreen response. This is something that JDI also, Japan Displaying also kind of talk about, that they have this, like they're using a special kind of technique which removes one layer between the glass and the touchscreen, so it's actually a little bit thinner and a little bit more responsive. But in terms of design and build, let's just look at this guy for a minute. I mean, the first time I saw the Mi 4 in its current form, in this white version, I thought immediately, my God, that looks just like an iPhone. And it really comes down to not only the front face here, but this kind of chrome frame or aluminium frame, which is quite tapered. If you can just see that. I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad design move, but if we compare to the M3, this was rounded and it was quite unusual and unique. I'm not going to compare too much to the M3. We're going to do a separate video about that. But yeah, Xiaomi, I think maybe, you know, we've always kind of said that they're the Apple of China, and now they're making devices that look kind of like they are the Apple from China. So maybe we shouldn't be too surprised. But hey, let's look at the back here. The back is different from any iPhone. It's slightly curved, just around the edges there, and it's glossy plastic. I mean, do we want to say it's a carbonate finish or something? Is it a resin? Is it made from cashew nuts? No, it's a glossy plastic finish, and it feels like a glossy plastic finish. You see we've got the camera smack bang in the middle, which is not bad, because sometimes I think people get their fingers in the way. I think that's a pretty good position for it. We also have a small kind of embossed Mi logo at the bottom, or Xiaomi logo. The USB ports on the bottom again. This is very similar to what we saw in the Mi 3. And over here we have a mono speaker. So overall design and build quality. I mean, the quality is there. This guy, when they launched, they made a big deal out of how they were using one piece of aluminium, and they, you know, it was kind of all drilled out in a very complicated way, and yeah, it was similar to what we've seen from other manufacturers, the way they kind of sold it. But the end result is good. It feels very solid. I drop that down, and I have every confidence this guy isn't going to break. He's really solid in a way that kind of resembles an iPhone. I mean, apart from HTC, who was doing unibody aluminium frames or aluminium chassis? Not many. So I think Xiaomi, in a way, I mean, respect for the actual build quality and the hand feel, but at the same time, the actual outlook is a bit too Apple for my tastes. Now inside here we have a Qualcomm chip. It's the Snapdragon 801, which is a quad-core chip. It relies on a really good GPU. It has the Adreno 330. I mean, in a way, what we're getting here in terms of performance, you can see we've run lots of these benchmarks. And what we're seeing is very similar to what you saw on the Galaxy S5, the Xperia Z2, on the HTC One, and other devices which sport the 801 SoC from Qualcomm. In terms of gaming, you're going to get probably the best frames per second, very, very playable on all games. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say about the Qualcomm performance? It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's a beast. It's currently going to wipe the floor with virtually every other SoC or system on chip on the market. So in terms of performance, we were very impressed. Let's look now to the camera. And although we'll get to the 8 megapixel camera in a moment, but let's just spend a moment to look at what we got here on the back. This is actually using a Sony IMX214, which is a new sensor from Sony. We've only seen it once before, and that was on the OnePlus One. So we know what the OnePlus One's capable of. It's actually capable of some fantastic photos. This is combined with 6 lenses in here and a single flash, single LED flash. Let's just take a look at some of the photos that we've been taking. Or maybe we should, let's go to the camera app first. Let's look at this camera app. So there you can see me. Hello. So right now we're in selfie mode. We'll just flick that back and we see what we get. You're getting pretty simple options, really. You're getting HDR. Settings is going to give you all kinds of options, but nothing too funky or sophisticated. These are pretty much standard offerings. HDR mode we found to be actually quite good, and it even works in video mode as well. Okay, refocus, burst shoot, panorama. We've seen these kind of things before, but the thing that kind of impressed us was just the speed of it. If I just take a quick photo here, boom. The autofocus, ooh, let's grab this little guy over here. Here, Mr. Android. Okay, the autofocus is fast and it takes pictures very, very quickly. So on the Mi 4 here, in terms of software, you've got Android 4.4 KitKat. And as you can see, it doesn't look anything kind of like what you'd expect from a more vanilla build of Android, which is kind of what we generally see coming out of China. And that's because Xiaomi have spent a lot of time and a lot of attention to create their own heavily customized version. Now, the first thing I noticed is this what do you call the Mi UI or the Mi UI. This is version 5 here, and the first thing you'll notice, as with previous versions, is that there's no app drawer. Kind of like an iPhone, once again, you've got all your apps on the front here. If they're here, you'll see them here. They can't be hidden anywhere else. In terms of customization, one kind of important area is actually Xiaomi do a fantastic job. I mean, you've got the standard stuff here, but then as we get down into security, there are tons and tons of options for you to customize. Also, in terms of notifications, you can choose whether you want a bar or page. You can additional settings. They've done a really good job, kind of in a similar way to Cyanogen, to give you control over what's happening. One of the things that I quite like about it is the notifications light. You can choose to have it pulse, you can choose the light of the color, you can choose to, basically you can customize whatever's going on with these notification lights, which is something that I quite like. In terms of headphones, you can assign buttons, so there's no headphones put in right now. Language and input, now this is actually one of the weaknesses, I would say, of the Mi UI, is that we don't get a Google keyboard by default. What we have is the Baidu input, which is Chinese. Now this is because we got this from China. When I got my Xiaomi 3, it actually came with the option to have a Google keyboard, so that's quite good. But it's something to bear in mind. Another thing you should bear in mind is that if you're buying this phone from China, is that it won't come with Google Play. You can install Google Play. There are a few workarounds out there. I've sideloaded most of the apps that I want to use here, but you'll find that on the Mi 3 we actually had a folder similar to this folder which contains tools. We had a folder just for Google apps. Here you've got more apps, but they're very, very China-centric. So although, you know, it's kind of cool that you can get these devices from China, you may find that you're going to have to customize certain bits and bobs. And actually, sometimes in the OS, when we've had certain security warnings and such, we do find that there is a residual level of Chinese in there still. So maybe Xiaomi have to work a little bit on kind of making sure that the English language experience, or indeed any other language apart from Chinese, is kind of totally from front to back. But the apps that are provided are good. I mean, if we look at the Recorder app, it'll be familiar maybe to some Apple users, but nevertheless it looks quite attractive. And we have the torch, which works very nicely. I mean, everything here is done in a very slick, kind of very nice, well-rounded way. And if you want to add more apps, you don't, I mean, you have the Play Store, but you also have the Mi Market. So here you can see in the Mi Market, there are absolutely dozens of apps. But look, yeah, they're going to be in Chinese. I mean, they've managed to put this in English, top apps, categories. Oh, so here we have categories. This is in English. That's useful. These are my apps. I haven't purchased any on the Mi Market, so I don't have any right now. But there's an awful lot to play with. You can search and you can find many of the apps that you're familiar with. So in general, what do we feel about the MIUI version 5? I think it's very slick and very... Let me show you one little thing as well. One little trick that I really like. Look at these effects. Slide, crossfade, tumble, rotate, cube, cascade. Okay, we've seen this before with Cyanogen and a few of those. But it's just... I don't know, so slick. It's very impressively integrated. Let's go back. We can change our wallpapers, and there are quite a few here. We can also browse for different wallpapers. We can go online. And this is, oh, yeah, themes. So you've also got a widget for themes, or rather, sorry, an icon for themes here in the front. Themes. Boom. We can't connect to the market right now because, unfortunately, our Wi-Fi is not helping us, but actually, this is the theme, this is our default, but you can download a multitude of awesome themes from Xiaomi through the Mi Market or indeed through the theme app. So generally speaking, we're liking this software. It's pretty impressive. So in conclusion, for the price, this isn't the cheapest phone that Xiaomi are offering right now, and in a way it does compete directly with the Xiaomi 3, which is a little bit larger, but also, come on, this is also 5-inch, it's also Snapdragon 800. So in a way, I don't know, I think maybe for Xiaomi fans, the main competitor will still be the Xiaomi 3. Now, whether you actually like the Apple styling, I'm not particularly a fan, but I think many people will be. For the price, this is a real flagship contender. It's an excellent, excellent phone that is very well made, has a very, very powerful platform inside, and a beautiful looking UI, which is very slick and very well thought out. The camera is awesome too. Battery life, the battery life was not bad. We managed to get 7 hours, well, 7.5 hours in our laptop magazine battery life. So the 3000 milliamp hour battery in here, there's nothing about, I don't think there's a real weakness. I mean, the audio, it's not fantastic, but it's not terrible either. This is a really attractive device, or should I say yet another attractive device from a very, very successful and very disruptive Chinese manufacturer called Xiaomi. Thanks guys, thanks for joining us. I'm Stu, this is Mobile Geeks. If you like what we do, subscribe. Thank you, bye-bye.